Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. Today we have Netflix 416th film from 2021. It is the action thriller called Sweet Girl. This one is directed by Brian Andrew Mendoza and stars Jason Momoa, Isabela Merced, Manuel Garcia-Rulfo, Adria Arjona, Raza Jaffret, Justin Bartha, Lex Scott Davis, Michael Raymond-James and Amy Brenneman. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. Thank you for joining me today. As I record this, I'm in sweltering heat, so I've got the air conditioner off because I don't want the noise in the background of this podcast, but I am absolutely struggling in this heat, so I do apologize if I take some more pauses than usual. As always, if this is a film that you haven't seen yet and you're interested in checking it out, give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because as we go, I am going to spoil the film. So we kick off with the Fast Flicks, which is a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one is about a husband and a daughter who go on a revenge spree against pharmaceuticals for not saving their cancer-ridden mother and wife. There we go. This is a revenge thriller. I hope you're excited for this. Jason Momoa, wow, he's a big name, obviously, and most of us would know him from his work in Game of Thrones and the Aquaman films, but how does he go in his own sort of solo thriller sort of film? We will find out very shortly. So, how did this end up on Netflix? This one is, we go back to July of 2019, where it was announced that Jason Momoa had joined the cast, with Brian Andrew Mendoza directing, from a screenplay by Philip Eisner, Greg Hurwitz, and Will Staples, with Momoa serving as producer on the film. Netflix was also announced to be distributing. We then go forward to October of 2019, where Isabela Merced joined the cast, and in December of 2019, the rest of the cast were announced. Principal photography began on November the 11th, 2019 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and wrapped on February the 11th of 2020. On release after release in October of 2021, Netflix announced that 68 million accounts had watched at least 2 minutes of the film within the first 28 days of release. So some big numbers Netflix are reporting there. Mendoza, the director, said he and his crew would return to the city where most of the movie was filmed in a heartbeat if a sequel was ever greenlit. There you go, testing or tempting the idea of a second film. He went on to say, "I don't think healthcare should ever be politicized in relation to this film." He added, "It's a very tricky situation, but if we address it in a potential sequel, more people would start caring about it." So there we go, the idea that one of the themes in this film is big pharmaceuticals and healthcare, and possibly in a sequel, what further they could talk about with this. Around the world, so in English, Sweet Girl, I'm going to talk a little bit later about the title in this one, but around the world, in Portuguese, it's called Family Justice. Makes sense. Croatian, Justice for the Family. This all ties into what I said in the Fast Flicks. In Lithuanian, it's called Cute Girl. I think it got lost in translation a little bit there. In Russian, it's called Baby Girl. In Chinese, it's called Protective Female Demon. There we go. There are no demonic creatures in this. In Ukrainian, it's called Daughter. In Arabic, it's Justice, My Dear. There we go. Some different titles around the world. And the tagline for this film was Family Fights as One. There we go. Very sweet. So, this was released Netflix worldwide on the 20th of August 2021. As said before, it was filmed in and around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the United States of America. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? On Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have it at 24%. That's on 59 reviews, so that is on the rotten side. The audience, also rotten, 49%, a little bit higher, but that's on more than 500 ratings, so there we go, not very positive. On IMDb, it sits at a 5.5 out of 10 on 38,000 ratings, so that's a lot of ratings. And then on Letterboxd, it sits at a 2.4 out of 5 on 25,500 ratings, but has been logged by 35,000 people. So again, you'd say mediocre. And if we head over to Metacritic, where they use the traffic light system of red, yellow, and green, the critics have it in yellow in the middle range. On 16 reviews, it sits at 46 out of 100. And the audience has it at a 4.9 out of 10 on 46 reviews, so also yellow. So there's no like reds or super negatives, but this is all in the middle of the range, and I guess that's where we need to go with my early thoughts. What do I think? I think it's a fine watch. It's pretty nuts. The twist is just wild, but I enjoyed it most of the way through. So This is where I'm going to say, if you haven't seen this film and don't want it ruined, this is your last chance, because we will need to talk about the twist as we go. The characters. Let's talk the characters in this film. There's very little development for any of the characters, but we've got to talk about them. So Ray is Jason Momoa. He is a mixed MMA fighter whose wife falls ill with cancer, and he's given this false hope, I guess, of an experimental medication that is going to be made available soon and will prolong her life, and that idea of hope and faith, and that they can continue their life together. But he vows for justice and truth because this doesn't come to fruition, and you know he's going to do it because he's an MMA fighter. And then you've got his daughter, Rachel, and the idea is that she struggles in this film in losing her mother. I've got to be careful what I say here. It's hard without spoiling the whole film, but she follows in her father's footsteps of being a fighter and seeking revenge as well. Amos Santos, he is the hitman who follows Ray and Rachel throughout the film. He has a few good moments, but he does have that persona down pat of an assassin who's on the chase and will do anything he can to earn the money from his boss or his payers to ensure that no secrets are revealed in relation to this pharmaceutical, medical payouts, buyouts, political corruption, etc. Keely, these are the last few, I'll just reel these off. Keely's this big pharmaceutical villain of this business called Bioprime. He's got a crooked partner called Vinod Shah, and there's the congresswoman called Diana Morgan. These are just 3 targets for the protagonists to chase. So they all play a part or a role in this seedy dealings with people's hearts and emotions when their loved ones are close to death. The director, Brian Andrew Mendoza, feature film debut. Has done some episodes for TV since, which is interesting. So On the Roam and Chief of War, both shows which star Jason Momoa. So obviously works with Momoa on a lot of stuff, including the Minecraft movie. So they work well together, obviously. So let's talk about the scenes. What are some scenes that stood out? What are some scenes that didn't work? So ones I liked. Ray takes this phone call to meet a journalist on a train, to get some information, get some intel. It was shot so well. The walking down the streets, the getting on and off at different stations, on the trains, the fight on the train, that was all choreographed so well. It looked really good. Showed off the city very, very well. The motif of the stuffed rabbit called Paloma was nice. Obviously, there's a Momoa connection to a film, Paloma. The heist in the tunnel of the villain Khan, that was also good as well. There's a diner scene between the hitman Amos Santos and Ray/Rachel. It was very Heat-like, but well played out. I thought that was good. If you think about the diner scene in Michael Mann's film Heat, that's what that reminded me of. And finally, Rachel in the ambulance. She bites Mika, the FBI detective, and then flips the ambulance and then kicks out the windshield and get away. I didn't really talk about Rachel, about the FBI agent Sarah Mika before. She's like this... has phone conversations with Rachel throughout and has a bit of a soft spot with her because she feels she can connect with her as well. So that's another character that plays throughout this film. Things that didn't work. The opening of the film couldn't get much more ridiculous than Aquaman jumping off the roof of a baseball stadium into water. It was just funny. Very funny to start off. And then the second time that we got that baseball roof scene, the music was so over the top and dramatic that it just felt a little bit off. And the only other thing, Rachel is pretty much drowned dead by the hitman, and then she's passed out and she hears her dad's voice saying, "Get up, sweet girl," and just gets up and stabs the hitman, and there's blood all throughout this water fountain. I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Anyway, what's the film trying to say? What are some themes, some motifs, some ideas? Vengeance and revenge plays throughout this whole film, that's clear, but also trying to deal with grief and mourning and loss, and the idea of holding on to memories, and those memories sometimes fading, and the fear of losing those memories. The ethics behind big pharmaceutical companies and the idea of profit over care, and healthcare. It should be a human right, not a privilege. And that ties in with corporate greed and corrupt politicians and the people that get away with these things when the everyday person is the one that's struggling with these decisions. The father and daughter relationship, I feel like this could have been played out a lot better, but the idea of parenting and children and parents, and this is very blatant through dialogue, but where do they end and where do we begin? That plays out throughout. And regret too. The idea of, why did you follow me? Ray says to Rachel, like, why did she follow him? I told you not to. Why can't you listen? If Rachel did what she was told, maybe what happened to Ray wouldn't have happened. So some regret there too. What did I take away from the film? The end. While watching the film, I was watching, and we got to the moment where Ray's on the roof at the baseball stadium, and I was frustrated because I was questioning why they needed to start the film with this same scene. And I was like, why are we coming back to this now with so much of the film still to go? And then it became very clear. And this is where the twist kicks in. And I've done a pretty good job to not mention the twist too much, but I can understand why people may think the twist is a cop-out. But it did take me by surprise. So I kind of liked it, even though it was pretty wild and all over the shop. The IMDb, there's sometimes a moment where we jump on IMDb to check out if we recognized anyone in the cast. I didn't jump on IMDb, but something I saw while I was looking into the film was Isabela Merced, who plays Rachel. She's Dora the Explorer in the real-life version of the film. I just thought that was an interesting, random little fact that I liked. Anyway, some questions, some pondering, some thoughts to finish off. This got an MA 15+ rating on Netflix in Australia. I'm interested. I don't feel like the violence and the blood and the guts and stuff was that extreme. So I'm intrigued. I feel like it's a little bit of a high rating, but I don't know. I'm happy to be disagreed with, but MA, it felt a little bit too high for me. The title, I said I'd talk about this. The title, Sweet Girl. It's a line of dialogue in voiceover throughout the film. Well, not throughout the film, but in a part of the film. And obviously it plays into the idea of it's a father's sweet girl, but it's the complete opposite of who and what Rachel is. She's anything but a sweet girl. The start of the film, Ray calls into CNN, pretty much threatening to kill this pharmaceutical guy called Keely. It just felt like such a dumb thing to do. It meant the cops were onto him straight away. Like, is that just lazy writing? The idea that you verbally have someone on national airways saying, I'm going to hunt you down and kill you if my wife dies, and his wife dies. So of course you're going to be the number one suspect. I just felt like that was probably a little bit. It could have probably been done a little bit differently. And Rachel, where is she getting the cash from to fund her trips, to fund what she's doing and driving around and gas and all that sort of stuff? Because her and her dad were pretty much desolate. They weren't able to pay bills. They were pretty much going to be evicted. I just thought that was a very interesting idea. And obviously the FBI agent Mika asks her at some stage, like, where have you got money, sort of thing. Very intriguing. Anyway, I'm ready to wrap this one up. We give the film a rating out of 5. For me, I can see why people think that the film's poor. Like, the twist throws things in a direction that probably wasn't needed or expected. It could have been a simple revenge father-daughter bonding film, but while the narrative risks, they're pretty wild. They may not pay off for everyone. I still enjoyed it. I still had a good time. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. Solid for me. We're on socials. We have Instagram, we have X, and we have Facebook. I think that's all 3 of them. Give us a follow, give us a like if you can. The question I wanted to ask was, does this film deserve a second viewing? Would it be worthwhile to pick up on all the things from the twist? I know there is a little quick recap in the film that shows you the same scenes over to pick up on the twist, but would it be worthwhile watching it, or is it not worth it? And it's just too wild to actually make it meaningful throughout. I'm intrigued. Fill me in on our social posts. Let me know what you think. Other than that, next week we are back with another 2021 film from 2021. It's the adult animated dark fantasy film called The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. This one's directed by Kwang Tu Han and stars Theo James, Lara Pulver, Mary McDonnell, and Graham McTavish. There we go. Interesting. The Witcher. I know there is a Netflix live action series on The Witcher, so I'm intrigued. I know very little about The Witcher or the characters, so this could be a bit of an eye-opening one for me. Hopefully for you too. Hopefully you stick around. Other than that, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next week.